is it fair to expect the United States, which is on the other side of the world, to get involved in wars in the Middle East?
Well, that's a very good question. And I think a lot of people, particularly on the right, have been reevaluating that. A lot of people on the left have long thought that we shouldn't, or that we should come in on another side.
Right. I mean, it almost feels like things have, I don't know if they flip-flopped or I don't know what, but I agree with you. I'm hearing from many on the right, they call it America first maybe, or an isolationist mentality.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely grown on the right. And to be fair to them, it has grown for some completely understandable reasons. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq in particular did not go well. And after 20 years in Afghanistan, America has very little to show for it. Not nothing, by the way, not nothing. The aim was to stop another 9/11 happening, and that worked. And that's a lot. That's a lot to be able to make sure that there were not Al-Qaeda camps in which people are planning to fly planes into major American cities. It's always hard to get any credit for the things that didn't happen. But America does, and brave men and women of the American Armed Forces do deserve an enormous amount of credit for that. But nevertheless, Afghanistan, as people will have noticed, is not a thriving democratic society, and is handed back into the hands of the Taliban.
Yeah, we certainly left in a bad way.
Left in a terrible way. And so when people see that, I understand why a lot of people on the right and the left say, we just don't seem to be very good at this, so let's not do more of it. But I would say that those people who do take the view that therefore America should step back from the world should consider two things. Firstly, that, for instance, in the case of Israel, and also, by the way, in the case of Ukraine, people are not asking for American boots on the ground. In both cases, they're asking for American support to allow them to fight the war that they're having to fight. In the case of Ukraine against Vladimir Putin's aggression, in the case of Israel against Iranian aggression. And that is a very different thing. Nobody, as far as I know, nobody high up or in a position of influence in Israel or in America is saying we should have GIs in the Middle East. Quite other than that. The Israelis are capable, have shown themselves very capable of fighting to defend their country and their families and their people. And they're asking for American support in the form of armaments, diplomatic support, deterrence effects like planes being sent to the region to patrol and just show as a sign of strength. A very good thing, I think, that early in the conflict, President Biden sent a aircraft carrier to the region. But they're asking for that. That's a very different thing. But the second thing I would say, and do say to the sort of America first, because of course, by the way, the America first thing is, of course, America should be first for Americans.
But is it also America only?
Right. Now, and the thing I say to those people is, there is a massive contradiction they have in their thinking, which they should at some point address. The America only people that I have spoken to and know don't want America in the 21st century to be an obscure power. They don't want China, the Chinese Communist Party, to be the premier country in the world. In fact, if you say that to them, they're horrified by the idea. So I would say that the thing they have to address is, you do still want to be the premier power in the world, don't you? Yes. But you think you can do it by withdrawing from the world entirely? You think that's possible? You think that if America is not interested in the world, other countries are not? I mean, America isn't very interested in Africa, but the Chinese Communist Party is really interested in Africa and is doing very clever things, not just in Belt and Road, but buying up of mineral resources and much more. So, again, with the Middle East, with the Near East, if America is not interested, at least, I'm afraid there are other countries that are. And I think that the America-only people should really make up their minds on this. America can either be a secondary or tertiary world power, or it can be the premier world power. And if it's a premier world power, it should keep an interest in the world. That is not to say it should intervene everywhere. Far from it. It does not mean that it should be the sole policeman in the world, because this is a horrible and onerous job, and it is preposterous that, for instance, America should be, holding too much, carrying too much of the water for global security. Of course, NATO allies need to step up, have to step up, and some have. But that needs American leadership in the world. It does not mean that America should be the fool in this. Of course not. But it cannot just step back. That's a delusion. It's a dream.